experiencing erosion and stuff like that. What are your plans concerning this area?
Well, thank you very much for having me. It's my pleasure to be here. And before I say anything, let me also thank my Commandant General, the Commandant General of Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, Dr. Hamid Abubakar Haudi, MNI UFR, for deeming it fit and counting me worthy to lead NSCDC FCT Command at this time. And having said that, I have clear-cut mandates when my letter was given to me, and the CG, you know, being a very dogged and highly experienced security expert, he made me to understand that, you know, are giving, you know, serious, that requires serious attention within the Federal Capital Territory, and chief of which is, you know, protection of critical assets within FCT. And good enough, NSCDC, we are the lead agency in the protection of critical national assets and infrastructure. And we, of course, we know the peculiarity of FCT. Of course, it's one of the most developed, you know, cities around the world. It is the seat of power, and of course, because of that, we must give very serious attention to infrastructural protection within, you know, the Federal Capital Territory, especially the city centers. And of critical note is the stealing of manhole covers. You know, if you look around town, you will see that most of the manhole covers are gone. And not only that, we've also observed that street lights have been vandalized, you know, in very gigantic proportion. And of course, we also have the issue of vandalism of traffic lights as well. So all of this requires, you know, serious attention. And when I came on board, I recall that my first media briefing, I was very emphatic about my decision to combat, you know, this menace, you know, head on. I promised to take the war to the doorsteps of, you know, these miscreants, these vandals, and a lot of which, from our investigation and intelligence that we have, a number of them, we discovered that, you know, there's this menace of Babambola, Abuja. You know, these people pretend to be scavengers, and under the cover and the pretense of, you know, packing, you know, waste and dirt, they also perpetrate this heinous crime. And of course, we are not leaving any stone unturned. And just a few days ago, precisely on Monday, I paraded about 20 of them. And how did I come about that? Immediately I came on board, I re-energized and reinvigorated my patrol unit, my patrol team. And of course, we extended our tentacles into different parts of the FCT. And I gave them a mandate that, you know, from the hours of 12 o'clock up until like 4:30 in the morning, anybody that you see roaming around within the city center should be picked up. Because when you look at this menace critically, who are those involved? What time of the day do they perpetrate this, you know, this crime? We discovered that majority of the people who are involved, they hide, you know, under the cover of darkness. You know, they come out ungodly hours, between the hours of 1 and 1:30. Imagine one of those we caught was scavenging around 2 a.m. within the city center.
Wow.
What explanation can you give around that period when everybody is asleep? That is when you deem it fit to say you want to clear waste, you want to scavenge. Of course, such a person, you know, is a criminal, because at that point, you are not supposed to be where you are. And of course, we discovered that a number of them too that we picked up under the bridges, we discovered that, you know, they pretend to be destitute. Now, when that happens, you see them sleeping under the bridges, and when the night is actually falling and the street is deserted, that is when you see them move into different corners within the FCT and perpetrate this heinous crime.
So now let's look at what are the dangers of leaving these manholes open, because I have been a victim of that. And I came down from a vehicle before I could know it. The vehicle stopped right beside the manhole, and my leg was into a manhole. It was the rainy season. I would never forget that. Apart from this, what other dangers do this portray?
Well, of course, you are be like the second journalist that will be telling me about this experience. Before now, I remember that another colleague of yours told me the same experience right around the Eagle Square, some time ago. Wow. And of course, these are just the ones we know. What about the people we don't know? So it is a very serious problem which we have to address. Beyond that, it can also lead into infrastructural decay, because the manhole covers they're there for a purpose, and once they are removed, it becomes a problem. So beyond even individuals falling into it, the manhole covers, is there to protect, the city, the roads, and there are so much underground maintenance. There are some cables that are run through the cities.
Yeah, exactly. The hammer cables, some transformers. National Stadium has experienced that several times.
Yeah,
where the hammer cables have been stolen by these guys.
So that is to prevent, unnecessary incursion into, those facilities. And also, aside from that, it can also lead into serious erosion problem. Yeah. So, but by and large, I think with me on board and with the support of other security agencies, because one thing that has given me a sort of joy and happiness when I came on board is the level of synergy within and amongst the security agencies, within the FCT. All of us are working together, the NSCDC, the police, the DSS, the army, the armed forces, and other paramilitary agencies. We all have, understanding, that we have a serious role to play. And of course, rather than seeing ourselves as competitors, we see ourselves as collaborators. And I'm sure as time goes on, we will be able to surmount this problem.
This brings me back to a major issue, because right on assumption of office, we saw the report where you paraded some of the culprits that are found guilty in stealing, in the process of stealing manholes and stuff like that. But that takes me back to the root cause. I know it's a wonderful thing being able to pick some of these things. How do you address this root cause? Because let's say 15, 20 years ago, we don't have so many scavengers in the Federal Capital Territory. What led to the upsurge of scavengers? How do you plan to address the root cause? Because picking them up is at the top, but what about the bottom? How do you stop this from becoming a recurring issue?
Yes, one thing we have to identify first and foremost is who are those people behind this crime we're talking about. And from our findings, we've discovered that a lot of people that perpetrate this crime, they are not even indigenes of the FCT. You understand? So we have to look at the influx, reducing the influx of, people that have no business, in the FCT. For instance, one of the suspects we arrested under the bridge, around 2 a.m., 1:32 a.m., was saying that we didn't have transport to go back to where he came from. He's from, one of the south states, and that he didn't have money to go. Now the question is it under the bridge where you're sleeping that you get money to go back to where you're coming from? Apparently, that place is more or less like a base or a point where they feast, and attack individuals, unsuspecting individuals, because we've had series of, we have reported cases of, people being attacked, street robbery. They snatch your phone, snatch your bags. They can even attack you if you're not. And most of these people don't just go about, like that. They go about with dangerous weapons. So we have to look at the influx, of people that have no business within the FCT, because when upon further questioning, what exactly brought you to, Abuja in the first place? He has no explanation. He doesn't have any relative in FCT. He doesn't have any relative in Abuja. But he made his way here. To do what? Apparently, he has to leave. He has to survive. And when you don't have what to do, the only way you can survive at their level, is when you go into criminal activities. So we look at that, and some people may say that, okay, for economic reasons, but a criminal is a criminal,
and also security reasons, because we witness as more influx of people into the FCT.
With no business in the FCT.
No, increased with the security situation. A lot of people that you see in the FCT today, they are running away from one security issue or the other from their state. So if we are looking at tackling the influx of people into the FCT, how are we going to tackle the issue of insecurity in the country too? Because that has to be addressed if truly we want to check this.
Well, the issue of security is being addressed. Like I said, all the security agencies, we all know our responsibilities, and everyone is, we are all trying our best, and we can also, do it better, because every day, criminals too, they don't rest. Just like you are, strategizing on a daily basis how to arrest the menace of criminalities and insecurity. These other people on the other side of the divide, so they are not, resting on their horse. So, but the issue of security is not something that will be debated, on the screen. It is just like you are unfolding your plans. I want to, apprehend a criminal, and of course, you already know my intention. You already know my strategy. So, of course, it's not something to be debated on the TV or in the media or in the public domain. But what I can say is that there will be, difference, especially as FCT, as far as FCT is concerned. We are lucky to have, a minister who knows his onions.
You're just taking that out of my mouth. You have a new sheriff in town. I'm talking about how do you ensure you have a synergy to be able to.
Yeah, the good thing is that, and I want to say categorically that, FCT residents should, be happy, because we have a minister who, for obvious reasons, is known as Mr. Project. While he was, governor, in River State, we also saw his track record. He's a hard worker, he's a workaholic, and he didn't disappoint us when he came and said that he was going to sanitize FCT. And, he's not a man that will say a thing and will not fulfill it. And of course, he has also charged us, the security agencies, about his expectations. He's a man that is highly experienced. Within the short period of time that, came, if for those of you who were, available during the press briefing, he had already taken, a drive around the city center just to identify, areas of need, areas of immediate intervention, areas of medium and long-term intervention. And, when he was talking, you will imagine that, is a man who came prepared. So we are not going to leave any stone unturned. We are all going to work with him. We are going to work for him, and we are going to achieve. I want to believe that within, a short period, based on what he has said about the short-term, interventions, I'm sure Abuja residents will begin to notice the difference, because I know that in terms of security will be beefed up, will be upgraded. Since it came, and even before it came, you know, security agencies have been on ground, and now with renewed vigor that the minister, Honorable Minister Barrister Yesam Wike has brought. Everybody is on their toes right now, and we cannot afford to disappoint or do otherwise. We are coming after the criminals, and security in Abuja will be beefed up. The infrastructure in the Abuja will, because it's called Mr. Project. And so what that translates to is that very soon we'll begin to see a lot of infrastructural development within the FCT. And so when that happens, infrastructures are being developed. We can't afford to allow those efforts to go down the drain. As they are being developed, as we are having the growth and FCT is changing, we can't afford to have people deface FCT. So we are going to clamp down the scavengers. And the issue of Babambola, is a very serious menace in FCT. I was discussing with someone before we got into the studio, and was explaining to me that even within Pape alone, it's such a big problem. And not only here, in some other satellite towns, we will ensure that we sanitize FCT. That I guarantee you.
And talking about beefing up, that just brought to mind the issue about the workforce in the federal. I know so many people want the kind of situation where we have patrolling teams moving around and looking at the kind of job, some of the responsibility you are saddled with. Is the workforce enough to be able to cater to an involving federal capital territory, knowing that it's the seat of power? People are coming in every day. There are security stations in other states. You have people trooping into the federal capital territory. The workforce, for you to be able to carry out some of these tasks you have before you, to be able to deliver, do you have enough workforce to tackle that?
Of course, we have the workforce, and not only having the workforce, we also have the capacity. Even though in carrying out this job, you need a lot of equipment to do that. You need a lot of logistics. But I want to believe that it's just a matter of time. With the kind of minister we have, whatever I think the security agencies require, to make things better, to make things work within FCT, the minister has assured us that he's going to create an enabling environment, for all the security, to defend their mandate and to also serve, diligently. Of course, but when that is provided, you have no reason to fail. And it's just a matter of ensuring that you make maximum utilization and optimum, deployment of the officers and men into areas where, attention is needed. That is not to take away the fact that in terms of securing the people, there is no, you cannot say a particular number of workforce, is enough. Apparently, as time goes on, when you have more men, you'll be able to. It means that you'll be able to, make incursions into, other different places. So we have the workforce, and like I said, civil defense won't be working alone. The police will be working with the police. They have the workforce, the SS, and other, paramilitary agencies. We are all on the same page, and we know that national security, is something that, is a very serious issue that we cannot treat with kid gloves.
Okay, talking about this Babambola, apart from the fact that they engage in criminal activities, is scavenging a crime? Because a lot of people do not understand. There are those of them that don't. Apart from the crime, that they do, is it a crime to be a scavenger?
Well, to start with, city center, the activities of scavengers are not allowed within the city center. And good enough, the Honorable Minister also, when in his maiden press briefing, emphasized that it's going to look into the issue of waste management and disposal in the FCT.
Okay.
I want to believe that when that is done, people will have no business, patronizing Babambola, who are scavengers, who pretend, they hide under, that
disguise of
disguise like that. They want to help you clear your trash and all that. So it's actually a problem, and that which we need to tackle. And one thing people should also know and understand is that most of these Ebolas, as they are called, they are apart from stealing manholes and the rest of them, there are a number of them that act as informants to their criminal gangs and syndicates. You see them come in because whenever they want to trash your dustbin, and they come into your compound, they come into your premises. Some of us are so not security conscious that you leave our doors open. Some people even allow them come into your kitchen and your backyard. These are very serious, dangers, because these people, when they come into your premises, of course they you now allow them into your backyard, some into your kitchen. What are you hiding anymore? So people need to be enlightened properly, that the earlier they understand that these people are criminals, the better. Because now the issue of kidnapping, which in Abuja hasn't been of serious concern before, it's now the space of kidnapping is very high now. And how does that happen? Somebody comes into your premises in the name of Baba Bola. You have exposed your family, you have exposed your lifestyle. They see the fleet of cars that you have. They see how you understand what I'm saying. So in that wise, when they come back for you to pick you up, because they know you have money. So you have actually put yourself up to be kidnapped. So people need to be security conscious. I think we need to enlighten the people more about the dangers of this people. When the waste management authority is properly put in place, as the minister said, I think people should learn to patronize registered waste disposal bodies.
I must say a big thank you to you. We've been talking with the Commandant FCT chapter, talking about Olushola Odumosu and also the tax before him, and it's also to ensure that they keep federal capital service received. Federal capital service is involving our city, and with the influx of people, there is need for us to be able to keep the people in safe. Right? Their task before him, and I must say a big thank you to you this morning for joining us. Hopefully, as the events unfold, we continue to have you to ensure that plans to ensure the federal capital.
Yes, our doors are open anytime.
Thank you so much. We're going to take a quick break right now. When we come back, we'll be looking at another issue that has to do with also of coal around the Francophone countries.